to think of more times when I was that person who had the aha moment.
Okay, let's hear about
it. We were reading a text a couple weeks ago, and this particular text has got great examples of text and graphic features, which is a target skill that these kids are taught over and over and over again. And one of my kids raises his hand and he's like, you know, I noticed that this image is also seen on this page here. And I went, huh, you're right. And we had this moment of like, wow, we are still noticing new things about a text that we have read over and over and over again. So by being like open to being a learner alongside the kids is a really powerful thing, like for me personally as a learner, but also for the kids as learners, seeing that modeled in their teacher.
I was teaching a 6th grade lesson on government, and we had studied multiple different forms of government in like a 6th grade way. You know, like in a 6th grade way, this is a monarchy. In a 6th grade way, this is a democracy. And towards the end of this series of lessons, I asked my students, like, which one's the best? And you know, this is kind of a polarized area, and they come in, they've got all of these different opinions, and we've been studying it for a while. And one of my kids raised his hand, and then he leaned back and he closed his eyes and said something along the lines of, I don't think it really matters which one is best. I think God would say the best one is just whichever one is submitted to him. Like he had this moment of like, who cares if it's a monarchy or a democracy? God's in charge, which was beautiful, seeing him pulling his faith in and his learning, and to begin to wrestle those things out. What actually matters is how I'm submitting to God in my everyday life.
In like the 1st grade classroom, it's taking your spelling skill and then sending them with a clipboard around the room. Can you find words in the books that you look at and the posters that you see every day? And wait a minute. That's the word. I know that word. And that moment of like, I can read that sentence. I can read that book that I always wanted to read. That was always magical for me, especially in 1st grade, that the kid that really wants to read this book and just isn't quite there yet. And so you work piece by piece and you get them there. And then one day you hand them the book and say, let's do it. And it's just a beautiful moment. I think also of my 6th graders, we had this storyline in our classroom of love lifts up, and the idea of when you love on someone, you can lift them up. You're filling their balloon. I would read them excerpts from a book by Bob Goff, Love Does, and little by little they started taking this on as their own. And then one day one of the students says, I just wish we could call Bob Goff and tell him what we're doing. And I said, well, I guess we could. And I thought, a good teacher right now would encourage this excitement and this curiosity. And so I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a list of all the things we've been doing because we want to tell him how much his book means to us and how hard we're working. And they really took it in a way that I never could have imagined. And it was that aha moment for them that they could apply the stuff we had been doing in our classroom in a new way. And so we did. We FaceTimed Bob Goff, and he so kindly listened to them and the things that they had been doing, and he encouraged them and said how proud he was. And it just was, it was amazing. And I stood in the back awestruck.